Let's talk about Elon Musk. I mean, obviously, probably the most talked about entrepreneur in the world today, probably most visible and the most cited one, the founder of PayPal, but more recently, of course, of Tesla and the Boring Company. And, Tesla also does, of course, what do you call it? Solar panels, and a number of other companies and innovations that Elon Musk is responsible for. He's certainly a pretty amazing entrepreneur, a pretty amazing businessman. It's true that both SpaceX and Tesla receive a lot of money. Wow, Todd. Yeah. Todd has just given Alejandrina the night off by taking us to $400 right off the bat. Very cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Todd. Really appreciate that. That's terrific. Obviously, Elon Musk, an amazing entrepreneur, has done phenomenally, has both managed to create wealth, but also managed to, figure out how to leverage, let's call it, government programs to the benefit of his companies, to the benefit of his dreams, to the benefit of his ambitions, and ultimately to the benefit of his wealth. So, most of his wealth is from Tesla, and that is definitely not a company that could have achieved the kind of financial success it has so far without significant money coming in from taxpayers through all kinds of emission credits and things like that, primarily in California, but also at the federal level. But Elon Musk is also just a pretty amazing ideas guy. He's a pretty amazing operator. He's a pretty amazing entrepreneur. And he's got a certain attitude that I have to say I like, a certain arrogance, a certain perspective of a doer rather than a taker, a perspective of I don't really give a damn and get out of my way and let me produce, let me create above and beyond anything else. So a certain attitude towards the bureaucrats, towards the regulators. I love the fact that he refused to shut down his plant in California during the lockdowns in California, and just he has this capacity and ability to stand up to regulators, to politicians. And at the same time, unfortunately, he's quite flawed because he is a real believer in a mixed economy. So I don't want to come across as here just a cheerleader. Definitely mixed character, but certainly a lot of positives involved. Anyway, Elon Musk got in trouble in 2018, when on the 7th of August in 2018, he tweeted, and all of his troubles have been on Twitter, he tweeted, "I'm considering taking Tesla private at $420, funding secured." Now, why did this get Elon Musk into trouble? What is about this tweet would trigger an SEC investigation? Now, first, immediately upon the tweet, the stock price of Tesla went up significantly. I think it went up over 10%. And that triggered, like, whenever stock price out of the blue goes up a lot, that triggers an SEC investigation. The SEC identified the source of kind of the driving it up, Elon Musk's tweet. Now, if that had been the end of it, if Elon had tweeted this and then ultimately Tesla had gone private at $420 a share, I doubt that the SEC could have done anything about it. Elon was announcing to the world his intention. The intention was a real intention. It was true. It panned out. And he did it on a public forum without benefiting some at the expense of others. The SEC, as we'll talk about, is very concerned about some people benefiting from information, from knowledge, from ability over others. Equality is the primary virtue, according to the SEC. So everybody needs to be treated the same. You have to have the same information, the same ability, the same access to information. how you're supposed to trade if everybody's the same. If everybody's the same, everybody comes to the same conclusions. Nobody ever trades. Nobody ever trades. Ryan is back funding my balcony show, right? And nothing happened over the weekend to renovations. So hoping we can get back to renovations tomorrow. We'll see if hopefully all the contractors will show up. We've got a really, really intense 3 days of trying to get a big chunk of the renovations done so that we can start doing other stuff. There's a whole chain of events. And mainly the big deal of the chain of events is our stuff is arriving here in California, from California, and the place has to be ready to receive it. And for that to happen, our contractors have to go all out for the next 3 days. And I haven't seen that happen yet in Puerto Rico among contractors. So we'll see. We'll see if we're able to pull it off. Anyway, so the SEC is upset about this tweet because it changed prices. But you could argue it went out in a public information. They could say some people were benefited. The people who follow Elon Musk benefited versus people who didn't. But that's probably not an argument that would stand up in court. If you announce this information in the newspaper, only some people subscribe to the newspaper. If you send out a press release, only some people get the press release. Whatever you do, not everybody's going to get it at exactly the same time. The problem with the tweet is that Tesla did not go private, did not get bought out. And indeed, since the tweet says, I'm considering taking Tesla private at 420, funding secured, it turned out the funding wasn't actually secured. So the SEC sued Elon Musk for fraud, that he provided false information, the funding wasn't secured, and therefore that he was guilty of misleading investors. Now, this is a stretch, in my view, for a number of reasons, right? Notice Elon is not saying, I'm taking Tesla private at 420. He's saying, I'm considering taking Tesla private at 420. Funding secured. Now, funding secured sounds pretty committed, but he's only considering taking Tesla. And yet the SEC went after him, all guns blazing, because he was trying to supposedly manipulate the stock by providing false information because the funding wasn't there. They landed up fighting it out, and they came to a consent decree. And the consent decree was that Tesla would have to pay, Elon Musk would have to pay the SEC $20 million. What does the SEC do with all that money? Goes to Treasury. Adds up to your tax money. It gets to pay $20 million to the SEC. Elon Musk had to resign as chairman of the board of Tesla. And according to the consent, all relevant tweets that Elon Musk was going to publish in the future had to be reviewed by counsel, by Tesla counsel, had to be reviewed by lawyers before he could tweet them. Now notice here that, I talked about this the other day, that Elon Musk, in his capacity as speaking for Tesla, has no free speech rights. He can't say what he wants. He can't say what he wants to whomever he wants. Now, he can't say falsehoods under any doctrine because falsehoods are fraud. That's why he was sued for fraud. But it goes beyond that. There's certain things he cannot say, and according to this consent decree, he cannot say certain things unless the lawyers review them in advance. First Amendment, according to the Supreme Court of the United States, this has not been overturned by any conservative Supreme Court or any other Supreme Court. Businesses, commercial interests do not have First Amendment protection. Commercial speech is not protected, which is a travesty. Anyway, so Elon was supposed to allow Twitter to review all his tweets relevant to the business. I saw an interview with Elon Musk just after he had signed. First, he refused this deal, and then I think a week later he accepted the deal. I think his lawyers told him he better not go to court. Things could get a lot worse for him in court, so he accepted the deal in the end. Anyway, a few weeks after this deal, Elon Musk is being interviewed. And in the interview, the interviewer asks him, so is Tesla reviewing your tweets? And he goes, no. Do you intend to submit any of your tweets for Tesla lawyers to review? And Elon Musk says, no. So he just flat out publicly is saying, I'm not paying any attention to what the SEC requires. Anyway, it turns out the SEC has been monitoring, has been following this. And it has now accused Elon Musk twice of violating the rules of his consent decree, and has actually applied for a court to try to go after him. It seems like the court basically said, you know, you guys settle this. This doesn't seem that bad. You guys settle it. So there's been an exchange of letters between the SEC and Tesla, which I thought was quite revealing. This is from a Wall Street Journal article, I think dated June 1. So the first tweet that the SEC got upset about, notice the pettiness. And, you know, this is the kind of fraud they're going after. I mean, they couldn't catch Bernie Madoff, who stole $52 billion from shareholders. They're fraudsters all the time, right? In financial markets, unfortunately. The SEC is too busy monitoring Elon Musk's tweets to catch any real criminals. See, here's what really pissed them off. On July 29th, 2019, Musk tweeted, spooling up production line rapidly, hoping to manufacture 1,000 solar roofs a week by end of this year. The SEC goes, whoa! You're required to vet any public message like that about the company with Tesla lawyers. You're giving production numbers and sales or delivery numbers. Those are part of your consent decree. You're supposed to have Tesla lawyers review this before you go public. This is what they're worried about, right? So they wrote to Tesla and to Elon Musk saying, you guys are in violation, you're going to get in trouble. I love Tesla just basically not really caring. So Tesla goes back and says, oh no, and Musk did not submit the tweet for review, and that a committee of the board determined that it didn't require authorization because it was wholly aspirational. It wasn't predictive. It wasn't telling people what was actually going to happen. This was aspirational. He was aspiring to 1,000 solar roofs per week by the end of the year. SEC was not happy with that, right? Less than a year later, on May 1st, 2020, Elon Musk tweeted, Tesla's stock price is too high in my opinion. Stock price, of course, the next day went down. This prompted a letter from the SEC. Wait a minute, guys. You're supposed to review that tweet. Tesla wrote back and said, I mean, this is a tweet that affects the stock price. This is definitely a kind of tweet that the board needs to review. This is definitely the kind of tweet that, you know, we need supervision. Shareholders got hurt because the stock price went down. Tesla comes back to the SEC and says, no, we didn't review the tweet, and we don't think we should review the tweet. The tweet constitutes personal opinion and does not require authorization. I mean, basically, everything Musk tweets is a personal opinion. I mean, he is the CEO of Tesla. So he does, how do you differentiate between a personal opinion about Tesla and an official statement from Tesla if the CEO is tweeting? I mean, they're basically just tweaking the SEC. So the SEC seeks records. Tesla says, records about the background for this tweet. Tesla says, we have no records. There just aren't any records. So the SEC writes, in the face of Mr. Musk's repeated refusals to submit his covered written communications on Twitter to Tesla for pre-approval, we are very concerned by Tesla's repeated determinations that there have been no policy violations because of purported carve-outs. Right. So Tesla's counsel, outside counsel, replies, right, that share prices for Tesla were not covered under the agreement. And he says regulators are trying to harass Tesla and silence Mr. Musk with investigations that overlap endlessly. He writes, the serial nature of these investigations leaves us gravely concerned that the SEC is targeting Mr. Musk for an improper purpose. In other words, we're standing up to you. We're not going to fold. We're not going to give in. We're going to fight you. Good for Tesla, good for Elon Musk. Hi. Now, it seems like these back and forth of letters have so far gone nowhere. The SEC has not filed anything, has not gone to court. But know what the SEC is doing. This is the way it spends its time. It monitors Twitter for Musk quotes. Go catch the bad guys. The only reason for an agency like the SEC to exist, I don't think SEC should exist, but if it was, is to catch criminals, to catch fraudsters. And again, there are fraudsters, and there always will be. But the pathetic nature of this kind of harassment and going after people like this is just, pathetic. But it comes from a certain view, a view that is captured by insider trading. So we're going to talk a little bit about insider trading laws.
And to begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize. I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute, that man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
All right, all right.
Now, may I define what my morality is?
All right.
Because this is merely an introduction. My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute. by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
May I?
All right, before we go on, reminder, please like the show. We've got 163 live listeners right now, 30 likes. That should be at least 100. I figure at least 100 of you actually like the show. Maybe there are like 60 of the Matthews out there who hate it, but at least the people who are liking it, you know, I want to see a thumbs up. There you go. Start liking it. I want to see that go to 100. All it takes is a click of a thing, whether you're looking at this, and you know, the likes matter. It's not an issue of my ego. It's an issue of the algorithm. The more you like something, the more the algorithm likes it. So, you know, and if you don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Let's see your actual views being reflected in the likes. But if you like it, don't just sit there. Help get the show promoted. Of course, you should also share, and you can support the show at JeronBrookShow.com/support, or on Patreon or Subscribestar or Locals. And show your support for the work, for the value hopefully you're receiving from this. And of course, don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, even if you just come here to troll, or even if you're here like Matthew to defend Marx, then you should subscribe, because that way you'll know when to show up. You'll know what shows are on, when they're on. You'll get notified, right? So yes, like, share, subscribe, support. Like, share, subscribe, support. There you go. Easy. Do one or all of those, please.